Hey, good evening, folks. Just real quick before we start the video, I'm real close to 230,000 subscribers. Can you be one of the people to help me get there? And then if we make it there, man, that's exciting. Thank you very much. Let's get on that road to 250. Make something awesome happen. Thank you for the support, folks. Enjoy the video. YouTube, what the tree crap is going on? HeirofCarthage here, and apparently the elves are on strike, and this is going to be an all-tree army that's going to be taking on the high elves. So over here we got high elves. There's some Lothern Sea Guard, looks like, out on each flank. Some spearmen spread very wide. Spearmen in the center. A few archers with light armor in the center. Got a noble on an eagle. Teclis. And 3 eagle claw bolt throwers all spread out. And a couple of titanic chariots. And then for the wood elves, we're going to have several dryads and a treekin on each flank. Some treekin in the middle with 2 ancient treemen, and then Durthu as the general. So it's going to be a lot of trees to deal with. These titanic chariots will be a little bit of trouble if they get into the dryads like they are. Dryads ought to do decent maybe against spears. Honestly, not exactly sure how that'll turn out. I know this noble does have armor piercing. It's causing quite a lot of damage. The archers, and there's a prey of Anathramet. Titanic chariots just plowing on through. Let's see here. Feral Manticore summon. Well, you're not going to see that often. So that's a play that the high elves probably wouldn't have expected. The noble ended up getting a crud kicked out of him by all these units, even though he started off doing some really nice damage. These dryads decide to just push on through. It looks like the elven spearmen not having too much trouble holding off the dryads in many places. Dryads are honestly pretty craptacular. I rarely see them ever be useful. I think that they need a slight buff if they're going to be of any real use. So the Manticore was used to get back here in the archers. The noble regrouped and came after him. We've got the center of the tree army still going strong here. There's a branch wraith in there supporting. And despite the artillery and arrows here, the high elves don't have a lot of infantry. And if that infantry collapses, it's going to get fairly difficult, I think, to keep things going. Teclis is going to use a net here. Try and hold Durthu still. It's not going to do a lot. And the archers will do fairly minimal damage to Durthu. He's an easy target, but there's no armor piercing on these bowmen. If they fired for long enough, sure, it could make a difference. And then he gets held still for a charge by the noble. That's, again, not going to be a bad thing. But Durthu just put a big hit on that noble. Just stepped on him. Durthu can do some pretty wicked damage. You get up close to him because of the magic armor piercing. So not a lot of units that can resist that for terribly long if he's getting a hold of them. Teclis. What in the world is he thinking? Teclis came right up into combat here. I don't know if this is a miss micro. No, he's going to get out. And just barely. Yeah, that is not a place that Teclis wants to be in life. He was trying to use Flaming Sword of Ruin, which makes sense. All of these tree units have a weakness to it, so that's a nice spell to have on hand. You can see right now the high elves still have a lot of units. I mean, there's still quite a few units, and another net of Ammontok there. Now remember, net of Ammontok, you have to overcast it, I think, to get multiple units trapped with it. Durthu's working on some titanic chariots. The chariots have become stuck in the treekin. Some regrouped dryads coming back at it here. These treekin units are going to be difficult for the archers to deal with, but the eagle claws can certainly do some damage to them. They're easy targets for the eagle claw. This tree man is succumbing to too much fire. Teclis gets in there and looks brave, at least momentarily. Let's see what happens here. Comes another Feral Manticore. That is an interesting pick. There's going to be a lot less to protect against it this time, so the Feral Manticore, man, those things degrade extremely fast. Kind of seems like the summons probably shouldn't degrade quite that fast. I mean, that's really fast. But anyway, there we go. Just gonna get into the archers back there. It's definitely a decent use of that Manticore. I didn't realize they could go crazy too. That makes Manticore even less useful these days. So yeah, it actually obviously looks to favor the trees at this point. So I guess the High Elves were out chopping lumber to build some fancy new cathedral, and they're paying the price for it. They came to the wrong forest. Durthu says, "Stay off my lawn. Stay out of my forest." This is what happens when you do like Saruman. These elves defending themselves. Check out the background. Archers running away. The two tree men, one of them just went down. Teclis is back there fighting. Durthu is headed over that way, but that fight's gonna clean up, and the bolt throwers are gonna get caught now by treekin. Let's check that out. So that ought to put an end to the bolt thrower pretty quick. Bolt throwers are actually a pretty solid choice, and the way he spread them out makes them that much more effective against a more typical Wood Elf army that may have tried to use more archers, but trying to use Wood Elf archers against the High Elves is risky business at best, just because of their range. High Elves really do own the range fight, in my opinion. Wood Elves are good, but they're not as good. I mean, Wood Elves may be better if you are in campaign where you can afford any units you want, but definitely don't think so here. So we had San Antonio and Shadow of a Doubt is a submitter here. Interesting to see a Wood Elf army without a single Wood Elf in it, all treekin. And then interesting army for sure by San Antonio. I think it had merit, just wasn't able to work it out this time. But let's jump into another one. All right, let's check out the next battle. This is going to be a Dawi Greenskin grudge match. This one comes in from Elo Sir. Let's see what happens here. So we got a Goblin Rock Lobber over here for the Greenskins, Boar Boys, Squig Herd, main line of Black Orcs, including the Crimson Killas, another Squig Herd, more Boars, Night Gobbo Shaman, Grim Gore, Ironhide, the Black Orc. And then on this flank, we've got some Gobbo Trickery. There's some Rusty Heirs and the Warlord's Boys pushing forward after Bugman's Rangers. They actually have pretty solid melee defense for a missile unit, but I doubt they want to get mixed up with an unbreakable Gobbo. Even those Dwarf Warriors are probably going to find themselves with their hands full in that fight, especially since they're going to be taking shots from the Rusty Heirs. Bugman's Rangers needs to turn around and punish the Heirs. But they're probably a little bit concerned because of the approaching Boar Boys. I would be too. Let's check out the rest of the Dwarf army. Got some warriors with great weapons, a Peak Gate Guard in the back, and some more warriors up front, staggered lines, miners with blasting charges. And then we've got a Runesmith, Thorgrim, and a Thane. These guys can impart a lot of buffs to their armies, and that's exactly what they're doing. Yeah, the Squig Herd comes in. Or sorry, Boars. Gonna mop up the Dwarf Warriors, but those miners gonna get some tosses here. Could be a nice cleanup for them, depending on whether the trees block it all. I mean, they're picking up some kills. Getting that many kills on a miner is generally worth it because they don't cost much to begin with. 19. I mean, they're getting a few kills. Check it out. Squig Herd's approaching, looking for holes in the lines. They obviously would like to get to the Goblobber. Goblobber is doing its thing, putting some damage down on the Black Orcs. Kind of surprised it hasn't targeted the Crimson Killas. Blasting charges. Warriors with great weapons. Do they have the charge defense? No, just magic resistance. Ooh, the Squigs got blastinated. So they're out of the fight. Rusty Heirs and Warlords boys still working this flank. There's some warriors with great weapons who are trying to stop these boar boys from getting to an organ gun. And it looks like they'll succeed. I think the boar boys, yeah, they're going to rout. Bugman's Rangers gets caught by the Squig herd, but if they can hold their ground momentarily, they'll get relief from the Ekrund miners. Alright, let's see. Here comes the main dwarf line. The dwarf warriors are just going to stand and take it. The miners with blasting charges have already thrown their charges. So that's going to be tricky. The Peak Gate Guard's looking to charge this boar boys that was mismicroed and hit with the Wrath and Ruin. Organ Gun crew survives, but these boars have regrouped. Over here, some warriors regrouped. I don't know how in the world he's going to take down this many Black Orcs. That is going to be a challenge. And then Thorgrim has got to watch out because Grimgor could pretty quickly put a beating on Thorgrim as well. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, Grimgor got caught over here up against a Thane, and he'll easily finish that fight. So Thane ends up in a very bad spot. The Goblobber just dropped a bunch of shots right into the Ekrund miners. They're trying to get their shots off into the Crimson Killas. I can't believe Thorgrim isn't dying in a very rapid clip right now up against the Crimson Killas. The miners are actually doing a pretty good job of holding back those Black Orcs, at least momentarily. Bugman's Rangers being defeated by the Rusty Heirs right now. That's a shame for display for a dwarf. And back here, the Peak Gate Guard destroying what's left of the Warlords boys, but that's going to allow these boar boys to get to the Goblobber, and they will kill it. The front line is taking a beating, taking an absolute beating. Again, I'm in awe of how alive Thorgrim is, facing off against Crimson Killas. And then Grimgor was in there as well. Honestly, not sure how the dwarves are going to turn this around. I mean, they do have a Peak Gate Guard. It's a very tough unit, but that is a lot of Black Orcs and not a lot of units for the dwarves to deal with them. Let's see what happens. Got some Bugman's Rangers regrouped over here. There is a Runesmith. Runesmith does have Wrath and Ruin. Could potentially cause some damage to these Black Orcs. The Boar Boys are a problem right now. Definitely need to get rid of the Boar Boys so they can't get rear charged. But I mean, these Peak Gate Guard are going to have to be careful too that they don't get charged in the back. They actually have a decent charge for a dwarf unit. The Goblobber came back from routing, but it's going to have to retreat from its units here if it wants to live. Oh, it's going to totally get killed. So it did not retreat. The dwarves right now very focused on getting rid of the Boar Boys. And Thorgrim is getting absolutely destroyed over here. Yeah, I don't know how in the world Thorgrim's going to survive that. He's in bad shape. Itchy Nuisance. There is the warriors with great weapons and a Peak Gate Guard. Peak Gate Guard is going to be... It's going to be a very, very tough unit here. And it's going to go head-to-head with Crimson Killas, who just took a Rune of Wrath and Ruin. So that ought to give the Gate Guard the advantage here. We'll see what happens. Thorgrim managed to stabilize, and again, miraculously escaped somehow here. It's the Rune of Negation. And the Gate Guard comes in and pretty handily is going to destroy the Crimson Killas. So now it's going to be a slugfest here. 3 Black Orcs, Peak Gate Guard, and a warrior with great weapons, supported by Thorgrim and a Runesmith. That's actually pretty good support, but you got Grimgor in the mix here. The Peak Gate Guard's got 103 kills, and the killing's not going to stop. Those guys are quite possibly the toughest infantry game in the game. I'd have to test them up against Chosen with great weapons, but they are good. I just don't see them used a lot because of the risk that they represent on the battlefield, but I mean, in terms of the damage they can dish out, I don't know if they're second to anybody here. Another itchy nuisance, I think. Yep. Some regrouped dwarves over here trying to keep these last few black orcs busy, and they're succeeding at it right now. This goblobber, rock lobber, has stayed out of range for a while, and it's needed now. Peak Gate Guard looks like it's going to retreat and charge again, let the warriors tank a little damage. The warriors with great weapons actually holding out for a surprisingly good amount of time here. The regrouped boar boys are going to get rid of Bugman's rangers, but not before they get their last volley off. The boars are going to succumb to the Gate Guard pretty quickly. Let's see what else is done here. So the goblobber did come back. These units may come back from routing. It's going to be tight. Grimgor is taking a lot of damage in this combat. It's just a whole bunch of infantry around here. Thorgrim is just miraculously continuing to survive with the support of the Runesmith, and at this point, the Peak Gate Guard is going to become very, very dangerous because they're not going to rout easily, and the amount of armor-piercing damage they're dishing is going to be extreme. I have to admit, I wasn't sure how the dwarves could possibly win this, and I think that they are turning it around, which is pretty incredible. But Thorgrim caught by Grimgor here. Oof. Grimgor is about to drop him. Itchy nuisance. Grimgor gets knocked back, though, by a bunch of other units, and Thorgrim gets saved, and I mean, just the nick of time. One more solid hit from Grimgor, and it may have been over. And now the Gate Guard and the Runesmith are going to wear down Grimgor. Not really a fight that Grimgor wants to be in. There's a lot of armor-piercing damage in here. The rock lobber, though, now becomes a factor because there's a blob of dwarf infantry. But Grimgor's going to rout. And a Pyrrhic victory for the dwarves, carried by the Peak Gate Guard of all things. That was a heck of a replay right there. So thank you, Elo Sir and Dong Draper. Wow. 146 kills, Peak Gate Guard. And that was after a start that looked to be so in favor of the greenskins. Massively in favor. The Crimson Killers managed to get quite a few kills. Though, I mean, a lot of the kills for the Gate Guard were on Black Orcs. Not all of them, but there was a lot. There was a lot of Black Orc kills mixed into that number, so that is definitely impressive. Man, hope you all enjoyed that one. Thank you for submitting it. Appreciate y'all being here, and I will be back soon with some more Total War Warhammer 2 online battles, and we'll be live streaming again next week as well, and getting some campaign. And then, of course, soon enough, when Thrones of Britannia hits, we'll be going through that as well. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. Hope you all enjoyed the video.